Good morning. This is Philip Koerper. This is the Philip Koerper Show. This is episode 30, September 10th, day before September 11th, 2018. Really grateful to be here with you guys today. Have some fun topics that I'd like to share with you. I'd like to start off with this Fox News article talking about Mike Pence. Vice President Mike Pence gave an interview on Fox News Sunday, and he was talking about Obama coming back on the campaign trail. And Mike Pence told Chris Wallace that President Obama was very disappointing, his rhetoric. Mike Pence said, quote, "It was very disappointing to see President Obama break with the tradition of former presidents and become so political and roll out the same tired arguments that he and liberals have made over the last 8 years. We inherited an economy that was growing a little bit more than 1%, the vice president continued. In the last quarter, our economy is growing at 4.2%. 4 million new jobs, unemployment at a 50-year low, and to have President Obama come out and tout his policies that resulted in less than 2% growth, which saw tax increases, Obamacare regulation, and a doubling of the national debt, I think, yes, was disappointing." So this was pretty amazing. Of course, President Obama was speaking in Chicago, a Democrat stronghold, where people are being shot at and killed every day there in Chicago. It's a complete disaster. It looks like the Democrat mayor, Ron Emanuel, some guy from the Clinton era, is not even going to run for re-election. It's a disaster. And no one's really talking about this. No one's talking about our inner city problems. No one's really talking also about like Detroit eighth graders, how only 5% of them are proficient in reading and in math and 7% proficient in reading. Okay, these are real serious issues that we have, this internal decay in our Democrat-controlled cities. And what's causing this? I mean, I think this is multifactorial. A big part, I believe, it's the breakdown of the family. So anyhow, President Obama's not talking about any of that. Okay, no, he's not. And he's pointing blame. One other thing that he said in Chicago on Friday, which was really outrageous, is about this, hyperventilating about Benghazi. This Benghazi situation where our ambassador, Ted Stevens, was killed, along with other Americans, is just atrocious. And then there's a huge cover-up. How Obama and Susan Rice blamed a YouTube video for this, even though they knew Hillary Clinton in emails revealed that she knew this was a terrorist attack, okay, a planned attack that happened on that September 11th day years ago. Anyhow, not very much accountability. Obama just digging in on the rhetoric. Really no real big surprises here. And so also Chris Wallace was asking Mike Pence about this New York Times op-ed last week, okay, this anonymous author who ripped into the Obama White House and said, well, we're not the deep state, we're the real state, we're here to stay, whatever. It's just, this really, I think, plays into this hand that President Trump really is being attacked by a deep state, really makes him look like the victim here of an organized attack against him. And I like what Mike Pence says here. He quotes, I would agree to take it in a heartbeat. Okay, he's talking about taking a lie detector test. He said that he did not write this. And he would submit to any review the administrator wanted to do. Okay, so, I mean, these are elected officials. Mike Pence and Donald Trump have been elected to be the head of state. And for having people try to overthrow this or undermine this is really subversive. And it's really a blow to our democracy. Okay, and so Mike Pence was saying that there is even bipartisan ridicule of this anonymous author and that he should really come out and resign. Okay, and he's saying that there's more people in there. So yeah, Mike Pence says, to have someone who literally celebrates coming in every day to frustrate the agenda that the president and I were elected to advance, it really is an assault on our democracy, and it should be universally condemned. So Mike Pence talks about, looking at the TV, going into work, working hard with the president, going home, and then looking on TV. And it's like, he goes, they say we're just totally out of control and disorganized, and yet we're getting things done every day for America. President Trump is so tireless. He is really, truly amazing. And on the campaign trail, trying to help Republicans increase a voter turnout. This is really so important that the Republicans can increase their voter turnout in these midterm elections so that we can hold on to the House seats and maybe even gain some. They say that usually the party that's not in power during the midterms will lose like 38 House seats or something like that. President Trump is doing these rallies, which are exciting. I really enjoyed the one in Charleston, West Virginia that I attended. And it was fun to talk to some of my friends in Billings, Montana. I used to live there years ago, and talk to them about the Billings, Montana rally. President Trump is really trying to energize the base. And also he's reaching out into the middle. And the middle of America is really very pro-Trump right now. And they're the silent majority, like I usually say. This is like Brexit. The polls were so wrong with Brexit. Now some of the polls, why do we even trust these polls? And so this is really an exciting time. I think Mike Pence is doing a great job as vice president against this hysteria. And I'm so glad that the Brett Kavanaugh hearings are over. Yes, the Republicans had to listen to the Democrats. In the Senate, you try to be cordial and you try to listen to the other side. The Republicans have the votes, apparently, for Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. And yet, they're trying to let the Democrats go along with it. Sometimes I thought, well, with all the Democrats just calling for the hearings to be shut down or adjourned, sometimes I think Charles Grassley should have just said, yeah, sure, okay, we're adjourned and let's vote right now. Let's just do a vote. Well, then the Democrats go, well, see, we're victims. We didn't get to do a thorough vetting of this nomination, blah, blah, blah. They are going to complain. So I think Charles Grassley, who was the head of the Senate Judicial Committee, I thought he did a really good job. He let the Democrats kind of ramble on. He kind of just ignored them and went on with the nomination process, those hearings. And so, good. So now the committee is the Judicial Committee is going to vote, and it'll probably be part of just partisan line. I think it's 11 Republicans and there's 10 Democrats, senators on the committee. They'll vote. And so Brett Kavanaugh will get through the committee, he'll be nominated by the committee, and then the Senate will vote. And since we have 51 Republicans, it looks like this is going to be no big deal. And there's no indication that the squeamish Republicans like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski are going to vote no on this guy. So anyhow, life goes on. It is, Anton Scalia was voted in like 98-0. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, it was like 95-3. This has just turned into a big political thing here. The Senate used to just go, okay, the president can pretty much have whatever nominee he wants for the most part. And I know the Democrats are whining about Merrick Garland, but there's been precedent on that. There's been other times in history that we've waited for a presidential election before we nominated. If there was a vacancy in the Supreme Court, we waited for the next election. If it was a presidential election, where we waited for a new president to get in there, and then he can let the people decide who's going to be president, and then that president can pick who he wants to be in the Supreme Court. So on we go. There is that hashtag resistance, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I had some fun on Facebook the other day, and I posted, I posted a scripture from the Old Testament. It shouldn't be too controversial. I picked John 10:1. Okay, and John 10:1 reads, in the King James Version reads, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Jesus unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep do not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter it in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. Jesus Christ this is a parable, okay, and he's teaching about he is the good shepherd, and how we all need to come into him. He has gained power over the death, and so we should come unto him. So I posted verse 1, okay, of this parable. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. Okay, this is a parable, right? And so I posted that on Facebook with followed that scripture followed by hashtag build the wall, hashtag MAGA. Okay. I thought this parable talks about, yes, it's talking about Christ and coming unto Christ, but parables can be, these kind of principles can apply to be many, many different things and many different aspects of my life. And so to me, I look at that as that, Christ is the way. I need to do it his way, the proper way. Okay. And so I was thinking, looking at the scripture, I think it kind of applies to immigration. Countries have borders. That's what make countries countries. They have borders. If you don't have any borders, you don't have a country. And so I was thinking about all the wonderful immigrants who've come into this country. And I've been reading a lot about John Koerper, my great-grandfather, who immigrated from Germany in 1880 when he was 16 years old, and came to Kansas City and started eventually a grocery store because his uncle had a grocery store and taught him how to be a grocer. And so I thought about that and how he immigrated to the United States. He had a visa and he came legally and set up shop. And my dad told me that his grandfather told him never to speak German. We're going to speak English now, and we're going to assimilate into the United States. So I was just thinking about how that parable, I was thinking about law and order, and I was thinking about our immigration policies. I was thinking about President Trump talking about building a wall, and let's have legal immigration. Let's have them come in through the gate, okay, and not over the wall. And so this turned out to be a little bit of a frenzy. I had lots of likes and stuff, some likes. I mean, most of my Facebook friends don't want to get political, and I totally understand that. I love talking politics and religion, two of my favorite topics. Some people get very uncomfortable talking about these things. But but most time, I think these discussions are really fun. And so one of my friends said, really, question mark, he was just like, and then another friend said, ugh, he was talking to me and you struck a nerve in that guy. And then I've got a really good friend from 5th and 6th grade, the prep school that I went into, Kansas City. He talks about, he goes down and he pulls out the scripture 33 and 34 in this chapter. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That's from Leviticus. Okay. So yes. So Leviticus is talking about foreigners and stuff, and I'm totally okay with that. Yeah, foreigners who come into our country legally. Yes, of course. I mean, like my great grandfather John Koerper embraced, lived in Germantown in Kansas City, where a lot of people spoke German, didn't speak much English, learned English, assimilated. Yes, I'm sure he's discriminated against, like the Irish were and the Germans, and any foreigners can be discriminated against. But we need to adopt them. But we have law and order. There's nothing here that says that that you're going to break the law, okay? And then where there's a lot of other discussion, kind of going back and forth. One of my friends said, "Come on, Phil, don't hide behind the Bible on this. Using this quote from the Bible as an analogy to building a wall with Mexico is weak. You can do better than this. I know you can." I want to say, I mean, I'm not going to get in a big discussion here with them because they're really trying to distract from the point, okay? The point here is that I'm making with this parable is that even God supports legal immigration, okay? And God is not going to support illegal immigration, okay? He's not, okay? And, it's funny, Mexico builds a southern wall, and that seems to be okay with Guatemala. Oh, that's all right. But no, a wall on the northern border, no, somehow this is just, a racist thing, okay? I just don't understand that. I don't believe in that. Well, then I posted again just to wrap things up and get things back on target, because there's lots of distractions, okay? And notice none of my friends who oppose this are really openly say, oh, we want open borders. Okay, yeah, we think illegal immigration is a great thing. Okay, no one's really going to say that. Chuck Schumer's not saying that. No one's saying that. And so I posted, finally, after a lot of this talk, I said, as evidenced by both of these scriptures, Christ is against, okay, I was referring to that Leviticus scripture, Christ is against illegal immigration and for legal immigration. I mean, who's going to disagree with that? And then I said hashtag law and order, and then hashtag 10 commandments. Well, then I got one of my friends, then one of my good buddies from PEMDAY, he tweeted, John 10:1 has nothing to do with immigration, okay? It's a metaphor about Christianity itself. The context in the Bible is clear. Jesus is warning against false prophets, okay? And stuff. Well, of course, this is a parable warning against false prophets. This is a parable that can have, great significance in different things. That's what's so beautiful about a parable. It can teach a true principle that can be applied in many different things. Then one of my friends goes, where does the 10 Commandments come into play here? And then another friend of mine who's a Latter-day Saint, he said, this is a stretch, okay? So they're going off, okay? Are they going to say they support illegal immigration? No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to say that. They know how radical that is. But look how distracting they are. They're really getting away from the point. And I just wanted to stay on topic. Then I had a really good Latter-day Saint friend. I think she really summed things up in bookmarking this little debate that we had. And it's hard to do these kind of debates on Facebook. It's such a big platform. But anyhow, and stay on topic, she tweeted, well, I had a friend, she tweeted, God is love, love thy neighbors, and which I totally agree with. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about legal and illegal immigration. We want the whole world to move to the United States. I mean, are we going to allow that? Is everyone going to be happy with that? What is our welfare society? If we didn't have a welfare society here, we could probably handle most of the population of the world can come here. We're such a prosperous big country, it would probably work out fine, okay? We'd have a lot of businesses here, a lot of new startups, a lot of jobs. It would be awesome, okay? But you got to assimilate into our culture. We've got to have law and order here is what we go by in the United States. We have cooperation. That's what makes this country so great. People assimilate into this culture of cooperation in the United States. God has really blessed this country, I believe. I do believe this is the promised land. I do believe that those promises that God has made in the Bible and in other places about a promised land, a place where we can prosper if we keep the commandments and if we love God. I really think the United States has been blessed by that. It doesn't mean other countries can't enjoy those same blessings, because any country, as if we're going to receive blessings from God and His grace through righteous living and through loving God, I mean, this is going to be a good thing for anybody in any country. So yes, I do believe in loving my neighbors, and I also believe in legal immigration. They both. That's not a binary thing. We could do both. I love how my friend, my good Latter-day Saint friend, she posted, "Love your neighbors, yes. Also, thou shalt not covet. Be grateful for what you have, but work hard to become better. Bloom where you're planted." It's really awesome. And these 10 commandments, okay, if I sneak into this country, okay, climb over the wall or go under it or cut through it or whatever, okay, I am stealing, okay? I am coming in the United States and stealing from, and I am also bearing false witness against my neighbor. I'm lying, okay? That's deceitful, that's lying. And I'm also coveting. So there's 10 commandments right there. So who's going to argue this against me? You can see how these people obliquely are doing so, but they're not saying which the debate I really wanted is like, do you believe, I support legal immigration, and I'm against illegal immigration, okay? If you don't like the immigration laws, let's change them. I'm totally for that. I really think a lot of them are really screwed up, okay? I want a merit-based immigration system. If you want to come and work hard, I think we've got room for you in this country. I love it, just like my great-grandfather. Or Andrew Steele. Andrew Steele immigrated from Ireland in 1760 and settled in Lexington, Kentucky. So these are my ancestors who immigrated to the United States. I am pro-immigrant, pro-legal immigration. I don't know why that has to be so difficult. I like how Mo Brooks, so he is a congressman, let's see, yeah, he's a representative down, a Republican in Alabama. And he says that, from a Breitbart article I'm looking at, it says that counting of illegal aliens when dividing up congressional seats and electoral college votes is a violation of the 14th Amendment of the United States. So this is a really frustrating thing. A lot of these states are counting illegal aliens, okay, and they're using them to get congressional power and their congressional seats, okay, and more electoral college votes. So Brooks, along with the state of Alabama, is suing the federal government for their counting of illegal aliens rather than citizens in congressional appointment and the dividing up of electoral college votes. Okay, so he's saying we're probably in the neighborhood of about 15 million illegal aliens in America now. 15 million comes out to roughly 20 congressional seats and 20 electoral college votes. Each congressional seat has roughly 700,000 to 800,000 people in it. So he says, so if you count illegal aliens in the census for the purpose of distributing political power, that's the number of congressmen per state or the number of electoral college votes per state. You're talking about 20 electoral college votes and congressmen that are taken from states that follow our laws, that help our Border Patrol agents and help our ICE agents, shifting those 20 congressional seats and 20 electoral college seats to states like California that have large number of illegal aliens in them. I personally believe that's wrong on a policy level, but I also believe it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution because it dilutes the voting power of the citizens who live in states that don't harbor an enormous number of illegal. Oh, I love it. I love it. Sue. Okay, that's what you do. If you think there's an injustice, this is what you're going to do. And so they're suing the federal government. Good. Okay, let's figure this out. I don't like this. Okay, like I say, I like legal immigration. I do not like illegal immigration. It's that simple. It's that simple. Okay, I wanted to sum up something that I was talking about or thinking about the other day. And this is, I'm looking at a Daily Signal article by Ryan T. Anderson. This was from last year, August 22nd, 2017. Disagreement isn't hate, despite what the left says. This is something that I found out with the left is you start talking to the left and they just hate free speech. The left doesn't like it. They want free safe zones that they can say whatever they want. They just don't like listening to opposing views. They call it hate speech. They'll shut us down immediately. They'll shut us down on YouTube, conservative sites on the internet. Alex Jones, who is a guy who's pretty bombastic, he is being shut down, and they just don't like hearing stuff that they're opposing views, and then they'll blame us, like for kids committing suicide. If we speak out about homosexuality or transgender issues or gender dysmorphia, if we speak out against these things, then we are blamed for these kids who get really depressed and then commit suicide. And then we are blamed for our views that are contrary to theirs on these issues. We're blamed for speaking out. And we're the bad guy, and we're causing all these problems. And so, they just will not, they want to control the whole frame of debate. They are calling this stuff hate speech, which was just totally made up. And, if any kind of speeches should be protected, it should be hate speech or whatever they call the other view. Whatever debate we're having, we want to hear the other side of the coin. We want to know what that is. Even if we don't agree with it, even if we think it's just really crazy, we need to listen to it. That is America. That is the public square. The public square, there can be a lot of weirdos and wackos in the public square. I like to say, you're free to be stupid in America. I mean, this is America. You should have freedoms. As long as you're not imposing forcing other people to do things, or imposing or stealing, taking from them, or imposing on their rights and their freedoms, we should be able to get along. Okay, and we should be able to agree to disagree. And so this Ryan T. Anderson talks about, he made this video, and then he said, liberal activists disagree with conservatives on marriage and gender identity, but it's wrong to think every disagreement is a result of hate. Okay, he says, anti-gay bigotry exists. It's wrong, and we should condemn it. But support for marriage as a union of a husband and wife isn't anti-gay. Believing the truth about marriage, that it unites a man and woman as husband and wife in the act that makes them one flesh, isn't anti-anything. Believing that men and women aren't interchangeable and that mothers and fathers aren't replaceable, that children deserve both a mom and a dad, that's not hate, it's truth. And even if you disagree, you should acknowledge that it is motivated by love, not hate. Anti-trans bigotry is real, and it's wrong, and we shouldn't tolerate it. But biology isn't bigotry. The best biology, psychology, and philosophy conclude that sex is a biological reality and that gender is the social expression of that reality. And it's entirely reasonable to have concerns about privacy and safety when males who identify as women can go into the ladies' and girls' bathroom and locker room. It reminds me of an article I read recently where this guy thought he was a woman, and he went into a women prison and raped the women. Okay. Oh boy. And so this gender dysphoria, okay, these people, with all these different ideas of their gender, okay, I, for one, am on one hand, you are free to do this stuff. Okay, these kids are being given puberty blockers, and there's sexual reassignment surgeries, okay, and, as a physician, and like I mentioned before, there are illnesses where people think they're amputees. They think they have arms and legs, but they think they identify as an amputee, and they think they really should This body's not conforming with who they really are. They should be an amputee person, and they go to surgeons and they want the surgeons to cut their arms and legs off. So you can see, the analogies here. A lot of these people are really depressed, okay, and they have issues. So anyhow, this is a big, huge debate. It's a big firestorm. I, for one, with my religious foundations, knowing that God does, He created Adam and Eve as male and female, and that gender is an essential part of our identity. Okay, so this confusion, this gender dysphoria, is causing many problems, and the left wants us just to embrace this. I have a really good friend, and she told me the other day that now her daughter thinks she's gay. And this is such a trendy thing. And there have been even studies that show that whatever is popular in the culture gets adopted. I really didn't grow up with all of this pressure to be gay. And it was just not a big part of my upbringing because I'm old. So anyhow, I like this guy's article, Ryan Anderson's article, and I really think it's true. And I think that's one reason why the left gets so amped up on this stuff. And they really want to shut down our speech or our opposing view. And then they'll call us racist, homophobic, xenophobic, bigots. I mean, they really lay into us. And once again, I love the sense of progress, especially here in America, where this kind of bigotry is really decreasing. It reminds me of the Kaepernick, all these protesting and stuff about civil rights and civil liberties. I really think in America we're making great progress to really a colorblind type of society. I really think bigotry is on the decline. President Obama said it even was. And so a lot of this is, I think, fading away and going away, and that gives me really great hope. Well, this has been a great show. I wanted to close with a quote from Marvin J. Aston, who was an apostle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we've been talking about love and stuff. And I do want to mention on a little bit of a negative note, I don't have the article in front of me, but I saw on Twitter where they did this Frozen play, and it was the cast call at the end, and everyone was applauding for the characters in the play, and someone down close to the stage held up a sign, Trump 2020. So one of the actors grabbed the sign and then just threw it down back behind stage, just ripped it out. And then there's a video of that, and he took that video and he posted it on Twitter, and he went on and on about how disrespectful this was. And then it was like hashtag love Trump's hate and stuff, and how he was so full of love. And I am just like, what are you talking about? The guys are holding up this little sign in this play. And yes, I mean, that's not, I agree. I mean, this is a little bit of a protesting thing. It's not maybe something that I would have done. But these guys are holding up this sign. And a little political stunt, and this guy just tears it out of their arms, and says he's all about love. I'm just like, wow, you don't seem to be respecting these other people's political ideas here. It's more like book burning and censorship. But that is what I'm talking about, where the left is just, this complete overreaction and really very intolerant of any kind of other ideas in this debate. Anyhow, I wanted to close with this Marvin J. Ashton quote on charity. He says, perhaps the greatest charity comes when we are kind to each other, when we don't judge or categorize someone else, when we simply give each other the benefit of the doubt or remain quiet. Charity is accepting someone's differences, weaknesses, and shortcomings, having patience with someone who has let us down, or resisting the impulse to become offended when someone doesn't handle something the way we might have hoped. Charity is refusing to take advantage of another's weaknesses and being willing to forgive someone who has hurt us. Charity is expecting the best of each other. I love that. And it reminds me of my closest relationships, how important it is for me to be kind and charitable. I love it when he just says, we are kind to each other when we don't judge or categorize someone else. Give other people the benefit of the doubt. I love that. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Philip Koerper Show. This is copyright 2018. And you guys have a great day. Thanks.